In America, serious newsrooms are stoking calls for violence against immigration officers and encouraging these violent protests that you have seen. Now, it is opportunistic and so transparent, and while I expect nothing less from the politicians over there, the messaging from journalists should be to go home, don't be violent, and let the federal government deport every illegal immigrant without obstruction, because that is the law. Instead, journalists have aired content encouraging the protests and describing ICE officers as Nazis, white supremacists, and inherently evil.
I understand that, but they take people to Fort Snelling here, which literally was built as a concentration camp, and Alligator Alcatraz, which I think we can all agree is a concentration camp. I'm not saying they're Dachau. I'm not saying they're putting people in ovens yet, but these are concentration camps.
Okay.
I don't need to argue with you about that.
No people in ovens yet. And very little pushback on comparisons to ICE and the Gestapo.
Did you just say ICE officers are militia?
Yes, have you not been paying attention?
Yeah, I
they
think
certainly
you're
mirror
stretching
the
it a little
Gestapo.
bit. You know, that's very.
I don't think I'm stretching anything. I think we have seen, what we have not seen, what we have not seen are gang members committing violence. What we have seen are ICE agents
Hold on one second.
kill people.
But Tiffany, you're saying that you're just making a supposition here. There's no concrete evidence.
You got to be careful. That's way
there was some supports. There
was some men and women serving the government.
We have seen white supremacist tattoos.
Risking their lives, serving the government.
Risking their lives, they're taking lives,
You're calling them Proud Boy militia. Did you say that?
Well, I did not call them Proud Boy militia, but I think it's disgraceful that you're sitting here. I'm actually not. But I think that there are white supremacist tattoos on their
necks. White supremacist federal officers.
Yeah, white supremacist federal officers.
Like, where are you going with this? Why would you say that?
The rhetoric around this has escalated to the point that 2 people are dead. And from what I can tell based on the footage of nurse Alex Prety being killed, there was a serious failing by ICE. He didn't appear to have a gun at the time they shot. But you also have to consider the conditions these officers are working under. They are being assaulted constantly, and any protester could be carrying a gun or more than one gun. Now, that's the environment that these journalists are directing people into. And of course, before the facts were even known, the media rushed to describe Prety as a hero for his actions, painting him as the face of resistance.
They chose to, they killed the wrong guy, right? Because this is like the perfect guy. Alex Prety is the guy you would want to date your daughter. The guy you would want your son to grow up to be, a decent human being who was serving humanity, serving sick veterans, who is, there is nothing that has been said about that man that isn't wonderful. And so they can't malign him. They can't malign him because we have the videos.
And then yesterday, that narrative collapsed when this footage emerged.
This is a moment the news movement filmed on January 13th in Minneapolis, showing a man who appears to be Alex Prety interacting with federal immigration agents 11 days before Border Patrol shot and killed him. Our footage was analyzed by the BBC, whose facial recognition technology confirmed his identity to a 97% degree of accuracy.
And Prety's own family eventually confirmed to CNN that it was indeed him in that clip, gun in holster, attacking ICE vehicles. Now, he didn't deserve to die for that sort of behaviour, but he was, without a doubt, a violent thug who disagreed with the democratic outcome of an election to the extent that he put himself in very dangerous positions to try and stop a mandate of which he disagreed with. And the media egged him on at every step of the way. Is there not shared culpability in his death? Because these are the sorts of statements being broadcast to Americans through Hollywood personalities.
You know, some very rich old white men are exerting their power to suppress our own people, thus creating a feeling of civil war in the streets, preparing the haters to hate, teaching them how to shoot. They're not even trained right, to kill. We will not be iced out. This is not going to happen. They can't take us all down. If the whole world showed up on Putin's doorstep or on the Iranians' doorstep or in Washington, it would they'll kill 550 million, however, but the rest of us would survive with a new, this is time for a revolution.
And that was Breaking Bad star Giancarlo Esposito calling for a literal revolution and directly stating that he doesn't really care if it kills 500 million people because of the outcome. Now, how close are we getting to standardizing insurrectionist language? I thought that was a bad thing to do. And of course, the late night talk shows are no better. The left's hero, Stephen Colbert, hits a new low.
Bavino went on complaining.
Look, Dana, they're trying to portray Border Patrol agents and ICE agents as Gestapo, Nazi, and many other words.
Yes, do not compare ICE or Border Patrol agents to the Nazis. That's an unfair comparison. The Nazis were willing to show their faces.
There he is openly saying that ICE officers are worse than Nazis. Now, what message does that send to young people frustrated with the government's immigration policy? Clearly, it radicalizes them. It raises the temperature. It increases the odds that violent conflict occurs on the ground. Welcome back. Now we head to America, where the media is fueling chaos. And joining me to discuss is Gabriella Power, host of Power Hour, one of our biggest shows on YouTube. Gabriella, thanks for joining me on the desk.
Thanks for having me. It's great to be here in the new studio.
Yeah, great to have you. Now, let's talk about the media's coverage in America. Earlier in the show, I put forward a proposition that I think that there is this intentional move to rile up people in these blue states, make them feel as if they are these characters in a civil war, so that there is as much chaos as possible and reflects poorly on the federal government. What are you seeing there?
Yeah, I agree with you, Jack. Look, first of all, I want to say I think Alex Prety's death is absolutely tragic. I've been saying on my show all this week. It really is. However, if you look at the media's coverage, I don't think it's been fair at all. You look at CNN's coverage, you've got plenty of commentators on there suggesting that ICE agents are Nazis. I mean, the media's also been painting a picture of Alex Prety as if he was just a peaceful protester. We know now with vision that has emerged that he was interfering with law enforcement operations a couple of weeks ago. Look, that does not mean that his death was at all justified. And of course, there's this investigation underway, but it does tell you a bit more of the whole story. It paints a kind of different picture than what we've been seeing on CNN, on MS Now. And if people are at home watching and they keep hearing that ICE agents are Nazis, and you're hearing this from Democrats as well, you're hearing it from Tim Walz, I mean, of course, there are people at home that are going to be riled up, are thinking that they need to get involved, that they need to interfere in law enforcement operations, which is incredibly dangerous.
Yeah, if you believe Tim Walz, when he goes around saying these people are not law enforcement, and he refuses to push back when people are saying that it's the Gestapo who are taking over your streets, if you genuinely believe that, what do? Well, you go there and you kick cars, and then you get a bit violent and you bring guns with you because you think that you're part of some resistance. And the media, I think, shares culpability.
I agree.
When they're pushing people there for gain. We played a clip earlier in the week about this, earlier in the show about Esposito, this Breaking Bad actor, who was literally calling for some kind of revolution, saying he didn't care if half a billion people died to get this revolution. And this is the type of rhetoric that's feeding it. But narratives are important in media. And what's really interesting is we were talking before the show about how CNN used to talk about ICE. And this is incredible. This is the transition between how immigration used to be a normalized policy. It was Joe Biden that actually radicalized it and opened up the borders. Before then, under Obama, everybody was in agreement that you could control your borders. Every country is in agreement, but then all of a sudden there was this pivot. Let's listen to how CNN used to talk about ICE in 2016.
Immigration and Customs Enforcement agents fan out across Chicago to arrest criminals in the U.S. illegally.
Tac 1, Tac 2, Tac 3.
CNN was granted exclusive access to witness some of those raids.
How many people are involved with this operation particularly right now?
I have a 5-man arrest team here situated in this neighborhood here on the street. You see the stoop going up. I have a couple guys sitting right inside that stoop. This is part of what we do. Keep eyes on somebody and try to be as covert as we can.
Okay, so that's fascinating to me, and thank you for bringing this to my attention, because I think when people are when they're bombarded with messaging, it's not necessarily their fault when they're believing all of these inputs of data that are getting fed to them. But it wasn't that long ago. It was not that long ago when the media, when CNN had very normal standard coverage that, well, these people are actually out there, they're arresting criminals. By the way, some of these people that they're arresting have raped children.
Yeah.
They've committed horrible crimes. There's been murders. America had an election over this.
Yeah, exactly. What's the desired outcome to not deport illegals? I mean, this is what Trump won on.
Isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. Do you want
That you don't
illegal
have a right
criminals
to be here.
committing crimes? Do you want them to stay here? I mean, looking back at that vision from 2016, it's just such a stark contrast to the coverage that we're getting now. Of course, when Obama was president in 2016, this is the kind of coverage that we got. We had CNN going on the road with ICE agents, showing them a lot of respect, showing the hard work that they're actually doing. I mean, doing such a tough job. They're putting themselves on the line here. They're in a dangerous position.
Have you seen these videos of these ICE agents taking guard outside the hotels while there's mobs forming around them, throwing objects at them, they're bleeding. There's this guy spitting up blood at one point. When this is the environment, and this, I agree with you about the Prety, it's absolutely tragic.
Yeah.
I don't understand why he was there with a gun. I'm not one of these pro-gun people that thinks you should be able to carry it anywhere. I think if you're an agitator and you're going around with a gun, kicking cars and putting yourself in this situation, things can escalate. Now, that doesn't mean that he deserves it, and that doesn't mean that what ICE did wasn't necessarily negligent, or there should be some kind of penalty, or maybe there should be jail time for it. That's not for us to understand. That's the courts to go through that.
Yeah.
But why would you encourage people to put themselves in that situation, and what do you have to gain for watching this chaos unfold?
I know, and then you're looking at the media's coverage, and what are the consequences when every day you've just got anti-ICE coverage? Then you've got woke celebrities wearing ICE out badges. They're speaking out against ICE, not saying anything about what's happening in Iran or in other parts of the world, just this anti-ICE message that is being delivered. And then you've got people going on social media. I spoke about on my show earlier this week that there was a nurse going on a rant on social media encouraging women to try and date ICE agents and then cause them harm. There's just this repeated message that is going around and
ICE
stirring.
Agents having dinner, and they got surrounded by the mob. That there's story after story of why they're on edge, of why the people who are, by the way, they're doing what they've been asked to do, they've always done, which is deporting people that shouldn't be there. And the only reason you would have an issue with it is if you don't think America has a right to have its own border.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's what it comes down to.
Exactly. And it's a whole lot of it is this anti-Trump narrative. I mean, looking at the media, they're blaming Donald Trump for what's happened. Look, I think Trump is doing the right thing now with this investigation that is underway into the death, of course, and now with sending Tom home in there. And it looks like they will be kind of scaling back.
Whether it's ultimately his fault or not, he needs to de-escalate. That's, if you're the president, it's your show. You wear the ultimate responsibility for discourse, and I do agree he needs to de-escalate. I think J.D. Vance has made that clear that that's their intention as well.
Yes.
I think he's spoken
And that's
very well on
rational. I mean, if you look, so many people attack Donald Trump, blame him for absolutely everything. I think this approach is really rational. They probably mishandled it at the beginning. But then look at what some of the Democrats are just using this as an opportunity to play politics. With Tim Walz, I mean, Gavin Newsom initially was posting on social media calling it state-sponsored terrorism. This is with Renee Good's shooting, not Alex Prety's. He then walked those comments back when he was interviewed by, he spoke to Ben Shapiro.
It will backfire
because
the majority of Americans want illegal immigrants deported still. There's still polling. CNN had a story on it. Still, even after this shooting, they still want, it's the mechanism by how it's done, which is up for debate.
Imagine if there were people not interfering with law enforcement. I mean, what a different picture. Like, we wouldn't be seeing the chaos that we're seeing in our screens.
Completely agree. Now, journalists, they always try to turn every single thing about Donald Trump being evil and civil wars. And there's this great moment at the tennis, at the Australian Open, where two different athletes, they're trying to get dragged into this. Let's have a listen.
It's also interesting that you're both second-gen immigrants to the US. Like, in the context of everything that's happening at the moment with Trump and ICE, like, what does your heritage mean to you, and how important are immigrants to America and American sport today?
Sorry, I don't really want to talk about that right now.
Charlie.
I've been asking a lot of the American players just how it feels to play under the American flag right now, and I'm curious how you feel.
Yeah, I mean, I was born in America, so I'm always proud to represent my country. And yeah, a lot of us are doing really well, and it's great to see a lot of, great athletes on the women's side, on the men's side. So yeah, I feel like we're all doing a great job representing ourselves.
And sorry, do you mind if I follow up? Sure. Sorry, just to clarify a little, I mean, sort of in the context of the last year of everything that's been happening in the U.S., does that complicate that feeling at all?
I don't think that's relevant.
Amazing. The reporter saying, just to clarify, he's just trying so hard to get a gotcha moment.
Voice as well. Yeah, just to clarify.
No, she was brilliant. I'm proud of my country. Yes, we need more of that. Both of those athletes deserve credit for putting up with these questions from these liberal reporters.
What does it have to do with a tennis player, whether or not they agree with how ICE is behaving? Or it's such an effort to really culturally punish people that deviate from their orthodoxy, their idea of what is right and wrong. They try to put you on the stand. She just wants to play tennis.
Yeah, wants to play tennis, wants to represent her country proudly. I mean, that is what it is about. But these reporters, they're just activists, really. They're just wanting to try and get a, anti-Donald Trump message. And then they get completely shut down when they don't get what they want.
Brilliant. Well, she's got a new fan in me. Gabriella Power, thank you so much for joining me.